All right, assalamu alaikum. I wanted to talk about two things, perfectionism and this kind of little obsession with not wanting to settle and why that comes up and what happens and all the things about perfectionism. So there's kind of two ends of the spectrum when it comes to how people approach marriage in terms of like their expectations. There's one end where it's like one expectation of like the romanticizing or the fantasizing about how it's going to happen and how it's going to make you feel. Like they put it really up on a pedestal and it's like I want him to come approach me and it's gonna happen naturally. Like we'll meet naturally at the masjid and it'll just be such a beautiful romantic story. And then we're gonna get married and we're just gonna have so much like I'm just gonna feel so loved and connected and it's just gonna be so exciting and like that's all they think about and that's they've made that 100x in their mind and it just feels like that's the only way like it's gonna feel. And again, this is a spectrum. So if you have a little bit of this or a lot of it, doesn't matter. But then there's the other group of people that are just like obsessed with not settling, right? They're like they want to make sure like every stone is flipped and everything is like fully checked and background checked and I don't want to make a mistake and I don't even want it. What if it's the wrong decision? And it's just like really just intense obsession with like I want to make sure I'm making the right decision and everything like they're a lot more on the perfectionistic side, right? Making it checking to see if this is not like I don't know what if there's this flaw, I don't know about this, and then they start obsessing over that flaw and that becomes an obsession, which makes them end up never being married. And um but people on that side are usually more on the avoidant side and people on this other side are usually more on the anxious side, but there's always a mix of both. So there's no like hard rule on that. This is just what I'm noticing, what I'm observing when I from all the people that I coached and all the just different kinds of experiences I've seen. So just to kind of start off with why perfectionism happens. So when I'm talking about perfectionism, I'm talking about people who like like I've met people who and this is common, I'm not saying it's like one specific person, but everything's checks off, but it's just like, oh, their height is just like 1 inch shorter than them, or even 2 inches shorter than them. And they're just like, I just can't. I just can't. I just can't. I just can't. It just gives me the ick. I just cringe. It's like I just can't. Okay. And I asked them, okay, why? Why does that give you the ick? It's like I just can't be attracted to a man that's shorter than me. And then I said, okay, how? Why? Why can't you be attracted to that? Because like men are supposed to be taller. They're supposed to be taller than me. Okay. Are there people out there where the man, couples out there that where the man is shorter than the woman and they're completely like happy and they're a great couple? Yes. Well, I can think of one example right now. Zendaya and her the celebrity, right? Zendaya and her man, I think Tom Holland, I don't know. It's what I just that's the news, right? So how does that work? How is someone able to find a man attractive even if they're shorter? And what happens when you really dig deep into their why they find it icky? And I'm giving height as an example, but you insert the whatever you find as unattractive in your situation. But what happens is, well, if I'm like they attach whatever like the person is to their whole self-worth. And so they worry about, well, if I marry a man that's shorter than me, then that's going to take away from my femininity and that's going to take people are going to see me as less feminine and more masculine. And then what are people going to think? And then I'm just like, I'm not attracted anymore. Now look what comes up is usually a deep fear about themselves that they already believe in. And in order for them to kind of get away from it, they try to find perfection in the other person so that they don't have to face their own thoughts about themselves. Right? So if let's say the woman already believes that I'm not attractive enough, so I have to marry a man that's also like that's attractive so that we don't look, but we both don't look unattractive because then people are going to think we're both unattractive kind of thing, right? Now, what am I bringing up here? Why am I bringing this up? I'm not telling you to go marry a short man. Like you have to marry. I'm saying like if there's things that everything matches up, but there's one thing that kind of is not that big of a deal in the long term, practically speaking, why are you so obsessed with it? Why does it have to be there? And usually 100% of the time, actually, it comes up from what you believe about yourself, all insecurities that come from you that you're projecting onto the other person. You're hoping that if I marry this kind of person, then I'll get to feel more worthy. Then I'll get to feel like, oh, okay, that I am wanted and desired, but the person has to be more worthy than me so that I can feel that. So perfectionism, usually the pattern that comes from that is like that. Okay. Or even they have to be like more intellectual than me. They have to be, or even the same level, exact same level intellectual wise, because like it's embarrassing if he's not as smart as me. Or even if he makes a little bit less money than me, like that's embarrassing if he like, I just can't do it. I just can't. And um all of that. Now, I want you to hear me when I'm saying this. I'm not saying you shame yourself for what you want. I'm saying, can you intentionally understand why you want what you want? And is it intentional? And would you rather be single than having those standards? And those perfectionistic standards, I've met women who are in their 40s, 45, 50, who are still waiting for the perfect package, all of it, in order to feel like, okay, then I can get married. So when it comes to people telling them like, oh, you're being so picky or all that, I don't like that. I really hate that, especially women are blamed for being so picky when their standards are not that picky. However, sometimes subconsciously we do weed out people that are really good potentials because we don't understand why we're weeding them out. And it's not really a deal breaker, but we just think it's a deal breaker because we haven't been questioning why it's a deal breaker. So perfectionism is, and I urge you to watch all my other videos about like the yes or no decisions, the deal breakers, the why you want what you want. All of this really contributes to this specific topic. And this isn't about shaming yourself for saying you don't deserve other things. I'm saying there are things that you think it's what you want, but it's actually not what you need. And just things to think about, right? Okay, so now comes to the point of the next topic, which is like this obsession of not wanting to settle, which makes you like really overthink the decision. And it's like, what if this is the right or wrong decision? And this is more of like not the ability to not trust themselves of knowing how to handle when a problem does come up in the future. Like, why do you need to do all this research? Because your brain's thinking like, if I do enough research and I know enough, then I'll be able to prevent any like negative feelings in the future and I or problems in the future and I'll be okay. No, like then and only then I'll be okay because then I won't blame or regret myself. But the reality is like no matter how much research you do, you can't prevent future problems. You could do all the research in the world and you could still end up getting divorced. But it's the ability of like knowing that when the time comes of when a problem does come up, can you not blame yourself for your decision and to have your back and to be like, actually, I picked what I picked for the reasons that I knew at the moment, at that time, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to figure it out. I'm going to do whatever it takes to handle things gracefully. And because we're just humans and we're just trying to figure things out, and things will be okay. And so both kind of sides of the spectrum, it's there's I kind of explained two extremes, but if we bring it to the middle, is the more secure place, which is like um, kind of this feeling of I will do my research and I trust that I will figure it out and I trust my gut feeling and moving forward from there. And seeing the other person as a human being. When someone has flaws and you accept them for their flaws? Obviously no deal breakers involved here, but can you accept them for their flaws and can you move forward with loving them as a human being? Now, everything that I just mentioned, if you have not done the work, the foundational work on feeling worthy and feeling like secure in yourself, you might use this advice against yourself. And I can see that in that happening. So what I'm saying is you're worthy, you're whole, you're complete, and there are certain criteria that you should triple check within yourself of like what makes you reject or be excited or not excited about someone and just questioning why that comes up. That's all I'm saying. Otherwise, perfectionism will take over and you'll end up finding it really hard to want to find someone. And it's the work. That's the work that you kind of have to do. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that. And inshallah, I will see you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum.